How's it going, Bruins fans? Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast from the Fans First Sports Network. On Sports Illustrated, my name is Tom Cavanaugh, your UCLA Bruins Insider. Follow me at TCAF30 on Twitter/X, and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both over on X and on Facebook. Today we're going to be talking more football and just kind of looking at a path for this Bruins team to have a much better year and to accomplish something that they haven't really done in over 10 years. The last time the UCLA Bruins competed in a conference championship game back when they were in the Pac-12 was 2012. They made right when the Pac-12 first started the conference championship, I should say, was in 2011. UCLA made it both years in 2011 and 2012. They lost both and have not been back to a conference championship yet. So today we're going to be looking at a quick path for this Bruins team to be able to get to a Big Ten championship. And there's a few things to remember when you're kind of looking at the teams from last year in the Big Ten. You know, you obviously have your powerhouses in Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. But some of these teams that didn't even make it, even Indiana last year, who was 11-1. I mean, you look at the blueprint to get in there, and you're looking at the Bruins schedule, and you see, yeah, this team at best could win 10 games, maybe 11 games if they were to upset either Ohio State or Penn State. We'll get into it. But the criteria seems to be you can only have one loss maximum. Oregon made it to the Oregon made it to the Big Ten championship this past year and won it at 12-0. And their adversary they played was Penn State, who was 11-1. Their only loss to the Ohio State Buckeyes. But then you look at two other teams in that conference that had one loss. Ohio State, they had that brutal upset at home against Michigan. And then you also had Indiana. Their only loss was to Ohio State. They got mollywopped by the Buckeyes, and that kicked both of Ohio State and Indiana out of the race to be able to contend for that Big Ten championship because strength of schedule and stuff like that. And Penn State and Oregon, they got the nods there due to it. So if you're UCLA and you win 11 games, you go 11-1, there's still not a guarantee that you're going to be able to play for the Big Ten championship, and that's just how darn good this Big Ten has been over the last several years. So when you look at the Bruins schedule, I know we went over it yesterday talking about the most difficult games for this team, and I still believe, right off the bat, Penn State week 6, and then week 10, Ohio State. No, that's week 11. I'm sorry, it's week 11. Those are the two top games that I think are, stars on the board right there when you look at the schedule and games you got to try to win in an upset fashion. If the Bruins are able to take care of business in conference, beating Northwestern, Michigan State, Maryland, Indiana, Nebraska, Washington, and USC, there's only two games on that board there that are holding them back from being a team competing for a Big Ten championship. I don't like them to beat Ohio State, truly on the road in Columbus. That's a really tough environment, especially in the middle of November. But at home, week 6, you got Penn State coming to town. That is a game that I think that the Bruins can win. Going through my schedule prediction from a couple of months ago, I do have the Bruins losing that game. But if they were to win it, they would be in the driver's seat to not only be a top 25 team, not only have a chance at a college football playoff, but also have a chance to win a Big Ten title and play in Indianapolis in that title game. When you break it down, looking at it, 4-0 is probably where UCLA is going to be, taking down Utah, UNL, New Mexico, and Northwestern. You get to Penn State at home on October 4th. Let's say you win that game. Upset fashion, you take down Drew Aller and the preseason number 1 ranked Nittany Lions. Then this Bruins team is going to have to survive the next 4 weeks. You go on the road to Michigan State. That's a very winnable game. You go home against Maryland, another huge home field advantage against a pretty good Terrapin squad. Then you go on the road to Indiana. This is a team that's nowhere close to as good as they were last year. They lost quarterback Curtis Rorick. They lost their offensive coordinator to UCLA and Tino Sunseri. Go to Nebraska. That is a revenge game for the Cornhuskers due to UCLA upsetting them last year. If you're able to survive those 4 weeks, you're looking at undefeated season so far. You're a top 25 team in the country, and then let's say you lose to Ohio State on the road. Fine. At that point in the season, what are you, 4? You're 9-1 going into the final 2 weeks of the season. Then you got Washington and USC to finish things out. When I was looking at the toughest games, talking about yesterday, I had Washington and USC, the final 2 of the season, highlighted on there as the most difficult. But 2 very winnable games at that. You got the Huskies, You're taking them on at home. I think you can win that game. It's going to be Deshaun Foster trying to get some revenge against Jed Fish and the Huskies. And then, after you win that game and you're 10-1, all the marbles on the line against USC. And I think if UCLA is playing for a chance at a Big Ten championship game, playing on the road at USC, after what the Trojans did to the Bruins last year on the road at the Rose Bowl, I think UCLA would be able to step up in that spot, find a way to get a W there, and finish the season 11-1. If they can follow that path, and even if it switches, let's say they beat Ohio State, and then they go and lose to Penn State, even a split in those games is a victory for the program, because then you can kind of, look at the rest of this schedule here and you kind of control your own destiny. You beat Washington and USC down the stretch, you get to 11-1. This team could be top 10. This team will probably be contending for a Big Ten championship. We'll have to see how, teams like Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, maybe even Michigan, if they are back to being that team that they were for that single season winning the national championship. However those pan out for those teams, it will kind of just depend on if UCLA would make the Big Ten championship, but still, going 11-1, I think that's the only real path to be able to do it. I don't think this team has 12-0 in them, but I think their very highest ceiling is going 11-1, beating Penn State, losing to Ohio State, and winning everything else in between in the conference. That's going to do it for us here on the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast from the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. Follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X, and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both on Twitter/X and over on Facebook. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow with more UCLA Athletics.